So you want to become more masculine struggler? Do you want to impress your crush? Do you believe her that she likes feminine men? She is also saying that masculinity is toxic. She hates Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate should be cancelled, on her opinion. She says that it is okay to be weak. What are you going to do? Have you given up your masculinity? Your masculine urges? Have you turned into a wimp? You are okay with no men respecting you. Look at me and my men. A masculine man actively tries to increase his masculine energy so that he can enjoy a beautiful, polarized relationship with a girl. He hears weak men talking about toxic masculinity, and he chuckles. You still have to learn a lot. I'll teach you if you listen carefully. Over 10% of young males of your generation consider themselves to be very feminine. A lot of guys don't even realize what feminine or masculine energy is, so you might not even know if you are feminine. But understand this, struggler. If you are feminine, you will never dominate a woman. She will dominate you. Because if you are feminine, she has to be masculine. There has to be this polarity, which means that if you are feminine, she will be in charge. You'll be like the little boy that she's looking after. You'll never dominate her like some other guy may have. There's only one thing more dangerous than a cornered animal, and that's the man who's cornered him. When I tell men this, what it means to be feminine, which is submissive, or what it means to be masculine, which is dominating, suddenly they start paying attention. Your new goal is to be masculine. How do we do that? Well, first of all, why are so many men so feminine? Well, you can take one look around. Look at the media. Look at the movies. Look at everything. Look at the bullshit conditioning. Look at the feminization of the education system. You go through school and you're taught to sit still, cross your legs, squeeze your nuts in, and not to act like a boy. The teachers, the fat female, obese teacher, sees you and your friends pushing each other in the grass, and she'll start shouting at you. You've been raised to be feminine because that is the way to be successful in the school system. The ultra-masculine boys, isolation, detention, juvenile detention. Those are the places you can find them at. You might think that those guys are bad. I'm a man of ambition. You can't have ambition and survive without being a little dangerous, but they need our help. The true masculine men, the ultra-masculine men, are either in some detention center or in prison. They needed a good system that develops the healthy parts of their masculinity, that creates a life for them where they don't need to lash out. But you want to know the real reason why so many men are weak and feminine? It's because you live a good, easy life. Your generation has been doing that for a while. Weak people don't deserve a voice, generally, especially in harder times, when we're more about survival. But when you've had a really good time, prosperous time, and there's no war in the West, actually, in the home territory, well, then it's time. We may as well give that dickhead with low testosterone a voice, and he's going to shout about feminism, and he's going to say that masculinity is bad, and he's going to say that Andrew Tate is toxic. People like that, who are convincing you to be a little bitch, have a voice right now, because they're safe to do so. The good times have been here, but they're over. There's been countries that have been in turmoil for the last 10, 20 years that haven't been well off, but the West has always been relatively strong. But if we do take a look at the UK, the people there are cold, the people there are hungry. So, is this not a third world country? I am talking about their souls. People can't afford the energy bill in the UK. They can't afford their grocery bills. People lining up for food stamps and the food banks skyrocketing. People stood out in the cold, hoping to get a loaf of bread in the UK. So when there are hard times like these, this is when you start to see the development of masculine men start to arise and actually being appreciated. When you see a man like myself telling you to become more masculine, become a stronger man,
few years ago, this was seen as a joke, and now, very often, I see people saying, this is the most important thing in the world right now. This is life-changing. This is world-changing. The world needs more masculine, strong, hard-working men. That's a common sense statement, isn't it? And yet, for many people in the West, it feels a bit toxic to say that the world needs hard-working, strong, masculine men. I don't give a shit if they go after me for saying that. It seems like I could potentially be canceled for saying that. Why?
Because the big companies who own the internet, who decide whether or not we have free speech, well, they've been developed in the good times, and so they still have those values, feminine values, of cooperation and friendliness and political correctness, because they've been able to afford those values whilst we've lived in safe, nice times. Things are changing. There are two things you cannot fight. You can't fight change, and you can't fight nature. With the global message that's being now spread by men like myself, like Andrew Tate, young men are waking up. You are realizing what it means to be a man. You are realizing that you want to become masculine. You are realizing that this bullshit conditioning that you went through, that told you to be weak and submissive and feminine, that was going to be good for us, or society led you to want to get you to be a little bitch. We realize that there is some evil propaganda out there. That kind of propaganda that's telling you that you should be feminine, that you should be emotional, you should open up and be vulnerable to your girlfriend. Seems like good advice, doesn't it? Makes sense. Yeah, she's your girlfriend. You've heard this advice before, to be feminine in front of the woman who loves you, and you slowly are waking up to the realization that that advice was pure fucking evil, that advice would lead to your demise, your loneliness. And as soon as they understand, in literally just one sentence, that a feminine woman can't be attracted to a masculine man who breaks down and shows his feminine side, they understand. It's common sense. You know, every step that you take towards becoming more masculine feels right, doesn't it? Every step you listen to these videos with some kind of nice, positive feeling inside of you, like a part of it hurts, a part of it pisses you off, that you followed the bullshit advice from everyone else. But you listen to videos like this, and it gets you some level of energy and excitement. You are supposed to have males around you. You are supposed to be in male circles, male spaces. They need us. You asked yourself this question before, didn't you? How can I make more money to provide for my family? How can I help them? How can I develop myself so that I can build myself up and eventually provide? We're seeing the rise of young men reclaiming their masculinity, and the world will thank you for this. Not just yet. There'll be more demonizations. There'll be more cancellations. But soon, very soon, in the future, when these Western companies like YouTube, Google, everything, when the Western countries start to extremely suffer, and the hard, strong, disciplined, unemotional, stoic men who have been demonized for so long come back. In to help those countries, they'll celebrate the strong men just a couple of months after, wanting to cancel them because they live in safety. And these people don't even realize that their safety, their good times, have been built from the strong men who have passed. So when their safety, these good times are ending now, and they're going to experience some turmoil. They're going to experience some hard times because they just destroyed men. They made men weak. They will experience pain because they made men feminine, not the world. Countries are very different. It's not that the world's men have become feminine. Go and look at the men in Russia. They're not feminine. You'll go for a handshake, and they'll crush your fucking hand. There are countries out there whose men are masculine, and they're looking over at some Western countries right now, just thinking, that's free lunch. That's easy. Over there, they've got women They've got resources. We should probably go and take it. And most of you have lived in such safe times that it feels hard to believe that there's going to be a massive war. But if there is, and the Western feminized man is going to go up against a traditional masculine man, it's going to be a fucking bloodbath. This propaganda, this weakness of masculine values, this demonization, this cancellation of masculinity in mostly the West, it is going to end very soon, because they're going to need men like us. They're going to start to praise the men who are waking up early and being disciplined, because they're going to need us as soon as the draft starts. And it's time for men to be strong, and your country needs you. That's when they'll want you. So far, they're telling you, yeah, shut the fuck up. Let's chop his dick off. Let's pump him full of shit that lowers his testosterone levels. But as soon as it's time for war, you will be praised as a warrior. Masculinity has been demonized for so long, and I think that's about to end very soon. I can see that it's needed more than ever now, and not just for ourselves, our own individual growth, but actually for the countries that we live in. I can see that it's needed more than ever now, and not just for ourselves, our own individual growth, but actually for the countries that we live in. They need strong, masculine men, and they're beginning to realize that now. So you want to become more masculine struggler? In later videos, me or another hero is going to further with this problem. Leave a comment on what you would like to get taught next. Tell me about your interests, and we will make it a course with your favorite person. So, you want to be more masculine? Are you willing to do the work? Others won't, struggler.